I don't know overtly very many people who like me, respect me, or wish me well. For example, I was included in a poetry group in Seattle, and they spelled my name Jim Creary on a video they made of me, which I looked even worse than I do now because I was bloated from punishment medicines I was being given by the people who ended up poisoning me in the mouth. And their honcho said to me one night, you know, you say things about people we like. And this was, you know, I got chased out of Pittsburgh by John Schulman's gang. He got arrested on an $8 million museum heist. And this is what, you know, they're spelling my name Jimmy Creary because I was trying to escape the burden of involvement of any sort with someone who was criminally insane. But they like these people, and I talked about them. So they're going to call me Jim Query, and that's just tough luck. People who respect me and like me and care about me, I can't think of anybody to identify because I don't know of anybody like that. Have trouble putting together what happened with Penis Gabriel in Pittsburgh and how I got mixed up with Fripp and ended up on a Brian Eno hotline to Putin by way of Oliver Stone, ended up in Sinise Film Quarterly and Chinook coupon book and being played for various end games by the Seattle Green Machine, who saw my appearance, my correspondence with Penis's correspondence with me as a hot wire job, a bypass of ordinary channels, a circumvention. And they questioned my legitimacy. Nobody came out at juvenile court when I was 14 years old and said, we happen to know that you were sexually involved with someone when you were both underage. And when I got a little older, they just used it as blackmail. Louis Laffin, one of the Kremlinopolis New York dandies, blackmailed me psychologically with a picture of a general and an obese wife. You know, why is Queerball so scared of the fat girl? It's not going to be over till she sings. This kind of mentality permeated the criminal junta of John Schulman and Peter Gabriel, who's still at large. He's never been apprehended for his crimes. And Trump authority considers it done. TACID, TACID. The authorities consider it a done deal. You know, they got away with using blackmail as a shadow, knows what evil lurks in the heart of man. The AIDS attackers know. Ha, ha, ha. You know, this is the concept of the parochial savage who leers from the octopus of Pittsburgh and Seattle and the New York Kremlinopolis with the help of Peter Gabriel. But just knowing that stuff doesn't really help you put together what happened. Here's what really happened. We moved to get away from a gang that tortured me. I barely had any cognizance of being used for sex by that Neva corporation um, blackmailer who was a strategic mind in the whole affair from Me Too and stuff. It was Premiata Fornaria Marconi, premature fornication with Mancini. This was Sinfield allows that. Salos tells everybody keep it quiet. it will impinge on him that we know. You know, Karen Levitt used to come around saying, calling me on the phone saying, "We know who you are and we saw what you did." And there was even a party line one night during one of these sessions. "We know who you are and we saw what you did." You know, this is Pennsylvania stuff. So, the neighborhood of Soviet Jewry. And it still doesn't explain what happened. I mean, me, and I won't mention any names, but a kid from MIT, a Jewish kid from the Israeli Air Force, used to drop LSD. Went to Lamb Lights down on Broadway with me. I had a front row seat, but I opted to sit with him because he could get a ticket, and we ended up in the front steps in the front of the second balcony. And that was the sort of person I was. You know, if I was selfish, I would have sat in my front row seat and said, "Fuck you." But I was easily approached, friendly person. And the girls would get their way with me because I had been softened up psychologically. I hadn't been told that I was special. I'd been told that I was insignificant. And my mother screamed at me constantly. She doesn't do that anymore, but she was top of her lungs screaming, bellowing, raging. Like she used my head like a microphone, screaming into my head. So I was flattened, but that doesn't really tell you very much about what was going on. I was hiding in the towel closet, getting kidnapped and tortured and gassed and brutally. One dude who was a pedo gave me 14 stitches in my mouth. The neighbor saw the blood in the snow and followed it to find me. That doesn't really tell you very much what happened. He's the one who introduced me to Salus. That doesn't really tell you very much about what happened. No, it doesn't tell you very much what happened. You know, the winemakers implanted, they were from Attica State Prison. They implanted a they went into neurosurgery. I mean, they clearly had Holocaust designs scientifically on the golem, on the white sock. That doesn't really tell you very much about what happened. I wrote the Heaven and Hell Odysseys when I was 16, 17 years old down in North Carolina about the people who could communicate with plants and animals through music and believed in love and beauty and living together in harmony until somebody invents a blowtorch, goes out, creates the Neuro Guardsmen and the City of Threnody and the Midgehawk, Scourge Dirigibles, and the sister planet becomes the moon through various unfolding of the right wing. And that doesn't tell you very much about what happened. I went to the Governor's School for the Arts and started writing poetry. That tells you a lot more about what happened. And after I was arrested for armed robbery, I mean, with the ridiculous charge, about as cogent as the idea that I was a reckless driver at Kelly School, which Schulman's gang put together, and I left the city. Nava, from the Israeli woman with the Indian cigar smoking weirdos around her, you know, set up the federal charge, Gael City, after I got home from the governor's school. It doesn't tell you so much about what happened. But my grades fell and I was in shock, you know. Carter was president. I hitchhiked to St. Louis because the dude who gave me the stitches with a blow, 14 stitches when I was 14 years old or something, had told me I was still in touch with him occasionally because he broke my sister's ribs. And it was hard to escape any of these people. They were, I mean, even now, they have feedback loops to all the way to Tacoma. But, you know, Flame Over Africa he was doing covers of Ono. And he says, cameo in prison's disaster. I saw him once, he did a cameo. And another thing was that Austria was in touch with my stepbrother's music teacher, Rosenstein Elementary School. So it's very hard to get. We moved trying to get away from it. That he gives me the wrong day that Fripp is going to play in Blumenfeld. And so I missed the Fripp in Pittsburgh, so I hitchhiked to St. Louis to see one of Frippatronics tour. And this sort of tells you a little bit about what happened. Fripp gave me a postcard, and I gave it to Baloo. Licky Chop's pornographer said that's worth money. The postal union started killing Kennedys. That doesn't really tell you very much about what happened. What happened was I really liked their art. I gravitated towards them. I managed to get proximate to Peter Gabriel and played a poetry game with him, and we talked. He already knew. We went below the hood and said, "How can we play what Queerball doesn't know about himself?" And they started giving me indications that the reason I was tortured as a child wasn't because the kids hated me. It was because I was a symbol. My father was occupationally antagonistic to the Vietnam War, to religious coups, to Reagan, Nixon. And Amanda Harcourt, an attorney for Yoko Ono, set up to reverse the situation by making me look to blame for John Lennon. And she comes throwing tomatoes at me. We love Reagan and Lennon. We love Reagan and Lennon. And they used me for their AIDS experiment and said it was found art, even though the person who was behind it had been talking about it before AIDS even happened, just as they poisoned me in the mouth before COVID happened. So the Yoko Ono tag team with John Schulman is brutal deception. But what really happened is really very simple. I was in a semi coma and kept trying to be myself. I liked the music, so I gravitated towards people who I thought were intelligent. I used to have a copy of Rembrandt's Night Watch on my wall because I wrote to the National Gallery and told them I really liked the Night Watch. When I was about 12 years old, I was still living from the house that we had to move from to escape when that came. And it was because of the Rembrandt song that these people had written and appealed to me. So I had it on my wall for years. And there was part of me that wanted to survive. I thought these were the nice people. I thought, there's some English song by one of them. I know a nice man who has nothing to say. Except, what a nice day. May I say that today's a nice day because I have nothing to say. I still sing that occasionally, because I just felt like, all that stuff from Baziana and the brouhaha was all a bunch of fascist dirtbag from the Fern Hollow Bridge gang, of Joe Manson's incredible peasant army, who do like this here to Hitler Reagan. Hitler didn't know. Hitler didn't know. But we heard you swore as the nigger. What did you say? And then, Mickey Obama and Obama come along. They say, we are top sacred highness because we're the black man and now we're in power. And don't try to be anything but a little dirtbag yourself who is subordinated. And don't try to get attention from Maduri Goto. Don't even think of getting attention from Greta Thunberg because we'll get something going after one of your siblings, Mahagi. And it's not that he's in Black Army, Black Lives Matter. It's the hillbillies doing it. See, that's where you got to understand. The person who Slasher murdered, Shannon Harps, did it for this guy. But he was a white man with a big, you know, Mennonite beard. Um, the Trumpy turned Putinese are only as sly as the failure to identify them. And they play, it's like a pea in the pod game from Mariners, from the Milquetoast dude. You know, he burns the witch and the milkweeds get toast. They play, what's that mean, Jaime? With the ball and the hats. Where's the ball and the hat? What's that mean, Jaime? What's that mean, Jaime? Where's the ball and the hat, Jaime? So The black man gets revenge because the white man stabbed the white girl. And that clears the air of the penny, except we're going to get you with the disease. And we're building momentum to get you with the disease. We poison you in the mouth is a blessing. Mm-hmm. It's a blessing. And come COVID, kingdom come of COVID. We're gonna do like this here to your occupation is objective journalism. Because Joseph Goebbels is the leader of the NAACP and the JDL. This is Licky Chops winner. And you can see it for yourself. Ichiro Suzuki comes out like they did this to defend themselves. A girl who was obscene night after night after night with the red beard of the lackey and retains her virginity needs protection with nuclear missiles by Hitler Reagan. And Michael Salas is going to come with Noam Chomsky and the pitchforks for this Frankenstein. Is that logical? Did anybody ever defend me by reading the letter for what it said? No, they said we detected the hysterics of the neuroplasm. Did anybody ever try to defend me on the basis of the letter for what it said, is what I asked. No, Dow Constantine and Boris Harrell, we don't like your whiteness, so we're going to castrate you. Let me ask you one more time before I give up. Did anybody try to defend me on the basis of what the letter said? Yes or no? No, of course not. You were spreading rumors about her partner, John Schulman. It was a provincial norm what we did. Okay. So they've got this pea in the shell game going, you know. Tell us what it means, Jaime. And it doesn't tell you very much about what really happened. You see, I like poetry and I like flutes, nice stuff. You know, I used to when I was almost too deaf to hear, I went down and listened to a flautist playing Jimi Hendrix's melodies, and he had a signature style of melodic, you know, wave writing. It's very interesting. There's a flute player who does Hendrix. And, oh, you must have done acid because you like Hendrix. No, if you don't admit you did acid, Leon Hendrix is going to call Mike Salos on you, and Sherman Alexie's going to do a mackerel punch. Wait a minute. I said I like flutes. I gave you an example like flutes. The lady of the dancing bombast or whatever it is a flute. And, you know, I like flutes. And what's his? There was they used to say, "Oh, why don't you get a bamboo flute and teach peace?" They used to laugh their asses off at the squirrel cage. They called it the Squirrel Hill Cafe, the jukebox where the women would pass you around. You're gonna get a bamboo flute, teach us. You're gonna teach peace. And Nava had a skeeter, a skeeter, like mosquito. He was a traumatized veteran from the Vietnam War, and he had a timber wolf that was made to a husky. And Navi used to sue to get jobs on oil rigs, twist their ankle, and collect unemployment. At least that's what she said. She got me framed for armed robbery somehow. It was guerrilla theater. Pittsburgh Norm. Don't start rumors about these people. So, yeah, so it's like that idea, the Asian who comes gets me in a headlock, says, I'll squeeze your head so hard your nose will pop off, and gasses me, and then locks me in a house from the inside. So Ming-Na Wen can bring testimony for Ichiro and Midori Goto. They're going to match the Husky with the Timberwolf. We're going to make him jealous and reject him. And then we'll have J.K. Casper prancing around with Midori Goto. Ha, hee, ha. And Ino and Putin will laugh. And he'll go into seizures. And the whole time he's in seizures and screaming in homelessness, we'll rape his girlfriend. Selma Cobb did the raping. And we'll stick something in his mouth, boil up his lip, and will threaten him with injection, and they call it building momentum. Yeah, in Queer Society in Seattle, I'm not lying. I'm not lying when I say they say Joseph Goebbels is leader of the NAACP and the JDL. It's in print. That's what the whole Salos gangs with Brooks's justification for Mount Desert Island is. And it's logical, even to Joe Biden, because Obama he's the leader of the pecking order, Biden likes to call him. We'll make an exception with the queer bait, and they have the telltale film, you know. The girls come out once holding a ball, and then a girl comes out and spreads her wings. And then the Japanese girl like this with the black man. Then they pass a cannon, which is hollow, as a symbol of the Civil War. Cannons were made in Steel Valley for Abraham Lincoln, Pittsburgh. I learned that on the good ship Lollipop. And then they have I don't have the picture anymore. I tried to relay it to the post office and it got lost. It was me just looking beatific with beautiful blonde hair, and my glasses were crooked from being punched in the face. And they have that scene with the Japanese girl. And then all the little girls come running up for Sean Brooks and Michael Salas holding melons in the sky. We got his head. He made love dance. You don't want him. Haha. You can reject him in good conscience. Example. He is the walrus. Little girls should know what the Buko stupid code means, which is you wed first. You wed first. And the bearded dudes have the Borks, you know, Borks. They know that the world is for the moral, and the moral were united by John Lennon and Ronald Reagan. The bikers of Oliver Stone united them for the Timberwolf made to the Husky. That's Ted Nugent. So don't you stray. And don't you go thinking the Trumpington isn't a brilliant Wizard of Oz. All he has to do is snap his fingers and he's Mr. President. He still has a hotline to Putin. He goes through the air. This is, I didn't make up. You can fact check it. They said in print that Joseph Goebbels was the leader of the NAACP and the JDL. They said it in print. They weren't ashamed of it. They admitted it.